Hello and welcome. It's Carnage. We are taking a look at G.I. Joe Classified number 196, and that is Professor Rottclaw and Cobra Deinonychus. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Deinonychus. So let's get right into Professor Rottclaw here, and then we'll talk about Deinonychus, the dinosaur. And of course, now we do get file cards. So we know something about Professor Rottclaw. We know that he is a professor, and he's been studying things perhaps a bit forbidden, maybe things that might put him in contact with people like Dr. Mind. So he doesn't have a whole lot in the way of accessories, and what he does have is reuse from Crocmaster. He's got the whip, and then he's also got the pistol, which is on the rear of his belt. And then I do remember a comment about the feathers that he has on his uniform there, the white, which would be to reassure the dinosaurs that he is part of their group. So, he doesn't really need a lot in the way of weapons and accessories, being that he has a dinosaur and that he's a scientist. I like those accessories that we could use for diorama shots in the way of scientific gear and whatnot. So something like that would have been nice. I guess the hook you could consider an accessory because it does come off. Maybe that's the claw, the Rottclaw. So, you might call that an accessory. I don't know. Head sculpt is really fantastic. I mean, it looks like something from Marvel Legends to me, and I really like it. He's got these great looking jowls that I think are going to be a lot of fun to photograph and create some different cool emotional responses, or just kind of expressive expressions that we can find just by moving the camera around a little bit and playing with the lighting too. So I can tell this one's going to be one that will give us a lot in the future as we use this guy. From the makeup to the really intense eyes, Professor Rottclaw is very interesting. Okay, and then getting the professor turned around here, you can see Crocmaster's pistol there in the holster, and there's also a spot for the whip. Being the whip is in the particular positioning that it's in, it looks a little weird hanging on him like that. I don't know, I'm just not too crazy about it. And then there's another little hook over here, another place to put something on his belt. There you can see it. And I'm just not sure what it is. I don't know what goes there. I don't know what could go there. It could be the hook. The whip doesn't really fold that neatly. Maybe that's what goes there, though. It maybe pulls that in and kind of makes it look a little bit neater. We can mess with that and see what that looks like. I don't know. Okay, let's keep talking about him because there were some interesting things. These pauldrons, talking about the armor here, are attached permanently, so they don't come off, which is good in that they don't need constant adjustment as a lot of these kind of things do. But I guess the drawback about it is that you can't take them off. Sometimes, let's just move into talking about the duality of Dr. Rottclaw, and that is that he is also a troop builder called the Paleo Viper, which is nowhere on the packaging. I couldn't find one single mention of Paleo Viper on the packaging. But if you simply swap his head sculpt out, you've got Paleo Viper. One of the things that I would like to be able to do is just vary the figure a little bit more when I am trying to present him as a troop builder. It's kind of an interesting conundrum to have. But here we are. All right, well, enough on that matter. It is what it is. I do recognize these legs, but I'm having a hard time placing just where they came from. I did read that the torso, upper body, is from Xandar, and that makes sense. Even the way those pauldrons or armor are done is the same as Xandar, where they are permanently attached to the figure. And then he's got the exposed midriff there and armor on the upper body. Again, armor on the shoulders. This thing does come off, so it can sort of give him more of a studious laboratory look if you want to pull that thing off. It also kind of frees up that hand to hold different things because the hook does kind of get in the way. Let's see. Let's go ahead and take a look at the troop builder before we move too far. So this would be a paleo viper right here. So you have the different head sculpt, and everything else would be exactly the same. I'm going to try to find some ways to vary him with some other figures that I have, especially some troop builders that may have multiple extra parts, matching parts, so that we can sort of just give him a little bit of originality, make him look a little bit unique. He's got a great looking skin tone. It's sort of I would say, a mixed race look. I think it's a skin tone that we don't necessarily have yet and classified, and always happy to see the line become more diverse. All right, let's check out the dinosaur. Okay, it's Carnage back with Deinonychus. Here we got two of them, one with the armor and the other without. I gotta say, just looking at them side by side, I like the one without a lot better. He really looks fabulous without anything as far as I'm concerned. I think the armor is just a little bit, what can I say? I think it's gonna look better in shots that are a little bit further out as opposed to close up, because there's some detail lacking on this thing. It looks really good, but I'm just going to say there's some detail lacking on this thing. Okay, he's got a lot of articulation on the feet, ankles, knees, wrists, elbows, shoulders. Obviously the neck is quite articulated. The tail is articulated. This is a fun figure. Really like the paint job that they gave this guy. Just looks fantastic. Very realistic. I love that G.I. Joe is now getting into some dinosaurs. I think it's about time. But I love dinosaurs. I love all the sci-fi aspects of G.I. Joe, and I'm looking forward to getting this guy all put together and seeing what you all think. Thanks for watching, folks.